Hi, everybody, and welcome to Eyewitness Basics. We are going to talk about the pros and cons of testimonial evidence. Testimonial evidence includes oral or written statements given to police, as well as testimony in court by people who witnessed an event. Eyewitness accounts can be a useful tool in helping investigators with analyzing a crime scene, but are not viewed to be highly reliable. In addition, eyewitness identifications, right or wrong, can have a big influence on the outcome of an investigation or trial. People are likely to view the same scene in different ways depending on their positions, line of sight, familiarity with the area, and other factors that can interfere with a person's ability to remember details. Okay, so we are going to watch this quick video about a small research study that was done to see how we can influence someone's memory. Let's watch it together. All right. So this whole bunny effect video is just to show how we are able to influence someone's memory through suggestion. So by suggesting that they saw Bugs Bunny at Disneyland, they create gaps or they fill in the gaps in their memory with information that wasn't accurate. So we couldn't, like we saw in our Scott Fraser video before, the brain abhors a vacuum. If there's missing information, your brain is going to fill in the blanks to make sure that nothing is missing. Your brain cannot accept not knowing what happened. All right. So I'm going to show you a slide on the next screen with 20 items. You are not allowed to write anything down, and you're not supposed to talk to anybody. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to to remember all of those items. So let me set a timer for 30 seconds. All right, and go. All right. So now you have 2 minutes to list as many of the items as you can remember. So 2 minutes starts now. You have 1 minute left. Okay, time is up. How many of the 20 items did you have correct? If you got all 20, awesome. 15 to 19, great. 10 to 14, you did pretty well. 5 to 9 could be better. 4 or less, you might not have been paying attention during our 30 seconds. So, according to the Innocence Project in 2008, eyewitness misidentification is the single greatest cause of wrongful convictions nationwide, playing a role in more than 75% of convictions overturned through DNA testing. Still, the criminal justice system profoundly relies on eyewitness identification and testimony for the investigating and prosecuting crimes. So, the Innocence Project, you might have heard of before. So, what they do is they go back to cases where eyewitness testimony was the only evidence used to get a conviction. They mostly are focusing on cases that were before DNA testing, but where DNA was collected on different evidences from the crime. So they go back and they test the DNA that was found now that we can do that and see if it matches up with the conviction based on eyewitness testimony. And what they're finding is that 75% of convictions are being overturned through DNA testing if the only thing used to come up with who the suspect was an eyewitness testimony. So, what are some factors that affect a person's memory or their ability to identify a suspect? Some things you might think about are the person's position, the time of day, what distractions are going on, how they're feeling, and personal biases. So, age may play a role in the accuracy of an eyewitness statement or identification of a suspect. Studies have shown that when we use a lineup containing the actual culprit, so who really did it, both young children and the elderly perform well. But when the lineup does not contain the culprit, there's a higher rate of misidentification. The race of the witness can also play a role. So, the cross race effect is a phenomenon in which people are better at recognizing faces of their own race rather than those of other races. So, it would be if a white person was trying to identify a black suspect, their ability to distinguish faces would not be as good as if it were the same race as themselves. And the same would go if a black person was trying to identify a white suspect from a lineup. Our ability to perceive faces is affected by your own race. The use of drugs can also alter a person's ability to recall events of a crime, even after they are no longer under the influence. So, drugs and alcohol can alter your brain's ability to process information and the accuracy of those memories. Now, this one is really the most problematic for investigators when there are multiple witnesses at a crime. So, a person's memory of an event can be influenced by other witnesses, by investigators, and by the media. So, investigators have to use open ended questioning, meaning it's not a yes or no, it requires more information and follow procedures when conducting lineups to limit the influence they're having on the witness's memory of an event or identification of a suspect. So we call questions that are not open-ended, they can be leading questions. So if you said, "Did you see the woman's red coat?" you can actually alter the witness's memory to include a red coat, even if there wasn't one. So, a crime that is extremely traumatic for an eyewitness may also affect their ability to recall the event. So, if a witness is confronted with a weapon, their focus is going to be on the weapon, not on the perpetrator's face. And so, their ability to recall what the suspect's face looked like could be influenced by the stress of that situation. If you were able to focus on the perpetrator's face for a minute or longer, you will have more accurate memory than someone who saw the person for only a few seconds. So that one makes sense, that we would expect that the longer you're able to focus on someone's face, the more details you would remember. So studies have shown that faces are either highly attractive, highly unattractive, or distinctive are more likely to be recognized. So simple disguises such as hats, sunglasses can interfere with accurate eyewitness identification. However, body piercings and tattoos actually increase the likelihood of an accurate identification. The time of day in which a crime occurred, as well as the person's view of the scene, may affect what he or she is able to see. In addition, a person who is familiar with an area in which the crime took place may have a better recall of the positions of the victims or suspects. So, this time of day and light conditions is exactly what Scott Fraser was investigating in the case in LA, where the light conditions were so poor that there's no way they could actually see the suspect's face. But they were so comfortable with their memory of the area that their brain could convince them that they could see these things. Okay, so now that you're all warmed up, let's test your observation skills a little bit more. You're going to have 2 minutes to study the photograph of a crime scene on the next slide. Try to pay attention to details as you'll be asked 10 questions about the crime scene. You are not allowed to write anything down until after the time is up. Are you ready? All right, here we go. You have 1 minute left. Thirty seconds. All right, and time is up. So what color was the coffee mug in the picture? Was it blue, red, or yellow? When was the deadline? Yesterday, today, or tomorrow? What time was on the clock? 10:40, 11:05, or 1:55? How many sticky notes were on the whiteboard? 4, 6, or 8? Which of the following was not in the picture? A stapler, a trash can, or a printer? What was the name on the plaque on the desk? Was it Bill, Brian, or Carl? What color was the victim's shirt? Black, blue, or red? And how many plants were in the picture? None, 1, or 2? What was the color of the marker in the desk drawer? Red, blue, or green? Where was the book in the picture? On a box, in the trash can, or under the body? All right, let's check our answers. The coffee mug was yellow. The deadline was today. It was 11:05 on the clock. There were 6 sticky notes on the board. A stapler was not in the picture. Brian was the name on the plaque. The victim's shirt was blue. There were 2 plants in the picture. The marker was green. And the book was on a box. How many did you get right? Now, one thing about this simulation is that you knew you were supposed to remember the details of this picture. Many times when you're when you're trying to identify a suspect, your experience was not something that you knew you needed to remember every detail of. It can happen very quickly and without much notice. So facial composites are something we see a lot on our crime TV shows. And we often see them working with sketch artists and eyewitnesses. We actually now have technology that helps allow smaller precincts without sketch artists to be able to generate facial composites quickly by selecting from a series of choices about the person. So investigators work with sketch artists and eyewitnesses to create facial composites, which are just sketches of a person's face. Today, many police departments are using facial reconstruction software to help them with this task. The composite may be used internally, which means that it just is for the officers to see and allow them to identify the suspect, or facial composites can be used externally through media to solicit leads from citizens. So the "do you recognize this person" example. So Faces is a software program that offers many options to help you recreate. So you can see the different hair choices in this picture. You can adjust the different features so that you get the most accurate representation of the suspect's face.